It's been one of the deadliest waves of terrorist attacks in Israel in years, and it happened just 24 hours after Secretary of State Antony Blinken was in Israel warning the world of such escalating violence. Israel's security forces now on high alert, bolstering security and scaling up their boots on the ground. A gunman opened fire in a suburb of Tel Aviv yesterday. It's the latest in a string of attacks that's taken the lives of at least 11 Israelis now. Israel saying the shooter was a Palestinian from the West Bank. Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas is condemning the attack. Ambassador Danny Danon, former Israeli ambassador to the UN, joining me now with more on this. Ambassador, good to see you. When we look at what happened, these string of attacks consecutively, do you believe that these are a response to that landmark diplomatic summit that actually took place this week in southern Israel? Because foreign ministers from 4 Arab countries actually came together, met on Israeli soil for the first time, and analysts are saying that only inflamed Palestinians.
Thank you for having me, Kira. As you mentioned, we experienced brutal attacks within a week. 3 attacks on the streets of Israel. 11 innocent people died from those attacks. And you know, we expected to see something, because usually before the month of Ramadan, which will start on Saturday, we know that there is tension. The radicals tend to incite in the mosques, and unfortunately, a small minority follow their sermons and conduct violence. But we didn't expect to see such a wave, a brutal wave of terrorism. So I don't think there is a connection between the summit. The summit brought to Israel the moderate voices that want to work together and fight terrorism together. But I think we have to look at what's happening in the Palestinian Authority today. We heard President Abbas, and we welcome what he said about the attack. But at the same time, he still pays terrorists' families thousands of dollars, and he still glorifies terrorism.
Well, Abbas, as you mentioned, did condemn the attacks, and no Palestinian groups have claimed responsibility for them, although Hamas did categorize it as a heroic operation. You know, the intensity, the effectiveness of these attacks seem to have taken Israeli intelligence by surprise. How do you think this happened?
We try to live side by side with the Palestinians. We allow dozens of thousands of Palestinians to enter Israel every day to work here. Our goal is to strengthen their economy. And unfortunately, some radical forces are taking advantage of that. They don't care about the future of the Palestinians or the Israelis. What we are doing now, we are taking measures to protect ourselves. And I believe that the military will have to be more involved. We will see more forces on the ground. We will see the security services starting to conduct arrests in order to prevent future attacks. And unfortunately, few of the terrorists are Arab Israelis, full citizens of Israel that are being indoctrinated by radical Muslims and today taking part in these terror attacks.
Ambassador, while I have you with us, I would like to ask you about the role that Israel could play in reaching a peace deal between Russia and Ukraine. You know, Israel has close ties with both countries, and of course, President Zelensky is Jewish. What can your country do to help here?
We pray for peace, and we try to offer our services to both sides. We have an open dialogue, both with Moscow and Kiev, and that's meaningful. But, you know, you need, at the end of the day, you need the sides to be willing to get to a compromise. So we can be facilitating, but so far we still see the horrible pictures. And going back to what's happening here, 2 of the victims who were murdered yesterday were Ukrainian citizens that worked in Israel. They fled the violence in Ukraine, and they were killed by a terrorist in the streets of Bnei Brak in Israel. Prime Minister Bennett is willing to go back to the region to start to negotiate between the sides, and we pray it will happen soon.
Ambassador, I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.